I'm going to be waiting till 8 o'clock when the South African Weather Service publishes its 24-hour weather report, or at least its recording of rainfall, because for a brief but really intense period, it was not just a few hours of rain, and major roads, even highways, in some cases even businesses having to be closed because of the rain. Multiple areas reporting flooding, the pylons on the Elsieskral River, on the Liesbeek River, Langa, Fakieskraal, Fishhoek, Parow Industria, Tableview, Tiger Valley, Pardon Island, also some reports in Wynberg. If this is the chaos caused by just a few hours of rain, then what does the rest of winter hold? Is the city ready for the rainy months? Rob Quintas, Mako member for mobility, of which stormwaters have also been historically part of your mandate. Rob, really appreciate your time. Does the city know how much rain fell yesterday?
Morning, Lester, and good morning to all of the listeners. Our preliminary check yesterday, because obviously after that deluge, I came back into the office sopping wet after going to look at some of the sites and asked one of my staff to just try and see if we could get preliminary numbers. And it looked like at that stage, 25 millimeters, but there was still, there's still the rest of the day to account for as well. So that's just a baseline. I'm sure it is significantly more than that once it's been collated properly.
The thing about what we see of these brief but intense periods of rain is that you do have a period on when we do have waterlogged roads, drains that are clogged. I know that in the Tableview area there was even a vehicle stuck in certain parts of the road. But after the main rain subsides, after about an hour, drainage seems to cope, and then we see some form of normality. Is that what we saw yesterday?
Yes. So there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, the volume of rain coming down. The systems are designed for obviously for stormwater, but when the incidence is a sort of a flash flood, it is akin to having a bath that's full and then needing to pull that plug out to drain the water. The water doesn't just disappear automatically. It has to take its time to get down the plug and into the pipe system and then off to the rivers and flays or ocean where ultimately it ends up. So when there's a very high incidence of rainfall, and I'd call it a flash flood, we tend to see that type of flooding event. The big thing, though, is to check, number one, is that water draining? Because if it is not draining once the rain has subsided, because obviously if the rain is still coming and pelting down, it's going to take a while because there's just more water coming onto the roads and into the system. But if the water stops, if the water is not draining a little while after the rain sort of abates, that is when we know we have a problem area, and we need to obviously do a double check as to what that is. Our winter preparedness, we're actually referring it more internally as seasonal preparedness, because the weather is not like it used to be. We have rains in November, December, January, but our seasonal preparedness is an all-year-round process. We have our main infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure that is done sort of on an annual or biannual, twice a year basis. That is your retention ponds, your canals, and things like that. Then we know where our hotspots are. So in the leafy suburbs, we have a lot of leaves. Some of our suburbs, we have a lot of sand, which causes tilt. And then some of our suburbs, of course, we have a lot of illegal dumping, sometimes directly into the sewer of foreign objects, into the stormwater. So those areas get checked more regularly because we know them to be problematic for the reasons I've just mentioned. And then, of course, ad hoc, where we may not necessarily do it routinely, but only maybe twice or thrice a year as part of our preparedness, but where dumping still ends up in the system, and then we go and check what that hotspot is, why it's not draining, etc.
There is a message from a listener in the southern suburbs asking about subways under Liesbeek Parkway, Campground Road, Main Road, Newlands, as well as those under the railway line on the southern line. When will those drains be cleared? Some have been blocked for over a decade and are unusable. Are those city mandated subways, or do some of those fall under PRASA?
So some of them will fall under PRASA. Generally, as a rule, if you've got high proximity to train lines or under train lines, etc., that is, as I would say, as a rule of thumb, PRASA infrastructure. The cities ones, what does happen occasionally is we do have pump stations in these. These are on a regular basis vandalized and stripped for cabling and fuses and everything else. So we do have a challenge in maintaining the pumps in those subways to ensure that water is pumped out adequately. But nonetheless, when we are made aware through a person calling into either our Transport Information Center or via the city app or website, we'll get out there and do what is required.
Rob Quintas, Mako member for urban mobility, of which roads and stormwater is under his mandate.